Welcome back, everyone, for another deep dive. Today, we are going to be talking about Ed Sheeran,
Oh, nice.
and specifically his song Azizam from the Pink Heart video.
Oh, cool.
And we have, we've got the lyrics here, and we've also got some analysis of the lyrics, too.
Awesome.
So we're just really going to try to go beyond that first listen, and really try to understand, like, what are the core feelings that he's getting at and the ideas behind this song.
Yeah.
And really, like, unlock a deeper understanding of infatuation and, being present with somebody.
Absolutely.
And wanting a connection with somebody.
Yeah, it's such a universal theme, too, isn't it? Like,
Yeah.
I mean, I think everybody's felt that at some point in their life, totally. So I think it'll be really cool to dive into this.
Yeah, so one of the things I think that's really interesting about this song, right away, you hear that line, be mine, be mine.
Oh, yeah.
And it just feels so immediate and almost like a primal plea.
It really is.
And then he follows that with, I want to be nowhere but here with you now.
Right?
It's almost like the whole world outside of them ceases to exist.
It's that tunnel vision that you get when you first meet somebody and you're just so infatuated and all you can think about is them.
Yeah, and the repetition of that.
Yeah.
Like, be mine, be mine. I feel like it's so vulnerable, too.
It's absolutely. There's
a real desperation.
Isn't there? It's like, please be mine. I need you.
Yeah.
And I think that just speaks to the fact that, when you do fall for someone so intensely, so quickly,
right,
you really do feel that sense of like, I need you. I need this to be reciprocated.
Yeah. And it's like he follows that up with those lines about, like, wanting to be tangled and wrapped in their cloud or close to their face.
Right. Yeah. He paints these really vivid images.
Yeah. It's so intimate.
It's super intimate.
Yeah.
It's like they've created their own little bubble and the world is shut out.
Yeah. And the cloud image that he uses, I think, is really interesting because it does feel like they're enveloped, protected.
Yeah. There's a safety there, too. There's a softness to that image as well.
Totally.
So I think he's getting at kind of multiple feelings at the same time with just a really simple image.
Yeah. And just that, like, magnetic pull of being close to somebody's face.
Right.
I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's like such a...
Yeah, you think about it in terms of, your personal space and how, when you first meet someone, it can feel very awkward to be so close to them.
Right.
But then as you get to know them and there's that attraction there, suddenly you want to be in that space. You want to be close.
Totally. And I think, like, thinking about all that stuff, it does make me think of, like, when you see two people who are really into each other, and they're just kind of in their own little bubble.
Right. They're oblivious to the rest of the world, aren't they?
Totally. And I think that's what he's kind of getting at in the song, too.
Absolutely.
And then, like, right after that, we have this theme of, like, really wanting to escape into the present with this person.
Yeah.
And he says things like, well, tomorrow can wait.
Yeah.
Losing time in this place till the sun is awake.
Right.
And it just feels like a very conscious decision to just, like, put everything else on pause.
Yeah, I think it's interesting the way he uses the word losing as if it's a good thing.
Right.
Like, usually we think of losing as something negative.
Yeah.
But here he's saying losing time in this place.
Yeah.
As if that's actually something very positive.
Yeah.
It just speaks to, I think, the power of that connection.
Totally.
It's like you're so caught up in it that you don't even care if time is passing you by. Yeah.
Because you're enjoying yourself so much.
Totally. And then, like, I think it gets even more kind of dramatic. Yeah. He says, like, get lost in your ocean and drown.
Right. Yeah. That's
or live here in the moment we found.
Pretty intense image, isn't it?
Yeah.
To drown in someone's ocean.
Yeah.
But again, I think he's using it in a positive sense here. It's like, I want to be so consumed by you that I lose myself.
Totally.
Completely.
Yeah.
And that idea of living in a single moment that you found, I mean, that just speaks to how precious those early moments are in a relationship. They're so fleeting and they're so special that you want to hold on to them for as long as possible.
Yeah.
So do you think that's why we're so drawn to that feeling of wanting to escape?
Oh, yeah. I think so, for sure.
Yeah.
Because I think, like, in everyday life, there's so many distractions. And, we're always, we're constantly bombarded with information, with things we have to do.
Right.
We're always thinking about the future, what's next, and all of that.
Yeah.
So to have that moment where you can just shut all of that off.
Right.
And be present with somebody.
Yeah.
I think that's so appealing.
Totally. And it feels like a relief.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah. Absolutely.
And then, like, I think that he kind of, we've talked about the physical attraction, but then he takes it a little bit deeper. I think when he says things like, I want to be one in this space.
Right.
Or I want to be all that you see.
Yeah. I love those lines.
Yeah, it feels like it's deeper than just the physical stuff.
Yeah, it's about real deep connection.
Yeah.
I think I want to be one in this space speaks to that desire to kind of break down the barriers between two people.
Yeah.
It's like you want to be so close that there's no separation between you.
Yeah.
And then I want to be all that you see.
Yeah.
I think speaks to a real vulnerability as well. It's like, I want to be completely open to you. I want you to see all of me and accept all of me.
Yeah.
And I think that's a really powerful sentiment.
Totally. And then there's that line, show me how to move like the water in between the dancing lights.
Oh, yeah, that's such a beautiful image, isn't it? It's so fluid and sensual.
Right.
And I think what's interesting there is that he's asking to be shown how to move.
Right.
So it's like he's recognizing that he needs guidance from this other person.
Yeah.
He wants to learn from them.
Totally.
He wants to be in sync with them.
Yeah.
And I think the water imagery there is really effective because it does suggest that kind of effortless flow and movement.
Yeah, it's like they want to be totally in sync, right? Yeah. It's about that harmony between two people.
And that makes you think about like, what does true connection really mean?
Exactly. Yeah, is it that effortless flow?
Yeah.
Is it that feeling of being completely understood?
Totally.
And I think that's something that a lot of us are searching for.
Yeah, for sure.
For in our relationship.
And then like, we have this sense of like, I feel like they're so connected that they're also kind of oblivious to the outside world.
Right.
And he says, I don't care what they say. We can do it our way.
Yeah, there's a real defiance there, isn't there?
Yeah, it's like us against the world.
Yeah, exactly. It's like we don't need anybody else's approval.
Yeah.
We're happy in our own little bubble.
Yeah. And that's pretty confident, especially at the start of a relationship.
Especially early on, because usually at the beginning of a relationship, you are quite sensitive to what other people think.
Yeah, totally.
You're worried about what your friends and family are going to say.
Yeah.
But here it's like they're so confident in their connection that they don't care what anybody else thinks.
But do you think that's like a necessary part of it, or do you think that...
It's a good question.
Yeah.
I think it's a double-edged sword in a way.
Right.
Because on the one hand...
Yeah.
It's great to be so confident and to not care what other people think.
Right.
But on the other hand, if you shut out everybody else's opinions, you could be missing out on some valuable advice. Or, you could be blinding yourself to some red flags.
Totally.
So I think it's important to find that balance between being confident in your relationship, but also being open to other people's perspectives.
Totally. And I think like, there's definitely that head in the clouds feeling that can happen at the start of a relationship. But I think also there's like this really nice, like us against the world kind of feeling that I think a lot of people really enjoy.
Yeah, it's very romantic, isn't it?
Yeah. And then I think like, it's not all serious.
Right.
He says, and if love's just a game, then come and play.
Yeah. I love that line because it injects a bit of playfulness into the song.
Yeah.
It's not all doom and gloom and intensity.
Right.
It's also about having fun and enjoying each other's company.
Totally.
And I think that's really important in any relationship to be able to laugh together and to not take things too seriously all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. And then, another thing we can't ignore is the title.
Right.
Azizam.
Yeah.
And he says it a bunch of times in the song.
He does. He uses it a lot.
Yeah, and it was a term of endearment.
Yeah, it means like my dear or my love. So it's very affectionate and intimate.
Yeah.
And I think by using it repeatedly throughout the song, he's really emphasizing that sense of affection and closeness that he feels.
Yeah, and even though like we don't know the specific cultural context of it, I think like the tenderness is very clear.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And it definitely adds a layer of personality to the song.
Totally.
It makes it feel like he's speaking directly to this one person who he loves.
Totally. And then the ending I think is really interesting too because
the ending is quite abrupt, isn't it? It just kind of cuts off.
Yeah.
And it goes from this very intimate, romantic setting to this very harsh reality of traffic and cameras clicking.
It's like the spell is broken.
It is. It's like they've been pulled back into the real world.
Yeah. And I think, like, you know, it really makes you think about the fact that those moments of escape are often temporary.
Yeah.
And then it's like reality always comes crashing back in at some point.
And it leaves you wondering what happens next. You know, do they manage to maintain that connection in the face of, you know, everyday life?
Totally.
Or does it fizzle out?
Right.
You know, it's kind of a cliffhanger ending in a way.
Totally. So overall, this has been a really interesting deep dive into Azizam. And we've seen, like, how much he packs into these lyrics about.
Yeah, he's very skilled at that, isn't he? At conveying so much emotion in just a few words.
Yeah, like early infatuation and wanting to savor the present moment with this person. And wanting that deep connection.
Right.
And then also that kind of like us against the world.
Yeah, that defiance of outside opinions.
Yeah.
And I think all of that is framed really beautifully by the repetition of Azizam.
Totally.
Which just adds that extra layer of tenderness and intimacy.
It's really cool. So for all of you listening out there, I would say think about moments in your own life where you felt a really intense connection with someone.
Yeah.
And maybe you just wanted to you know, shut out the rest of the world.
Yeah.
Just be present with them.
Right, absolutely.
Like, what was that like?
Yeah.
What'd you learn about yourself?
Yeah, great question.
Yeah.
Really great question. I'm going to be thinking about that one myself, actually.
Yeah. Something to keep in mind.
Definitely.
Thanks for joining us.
Yeah. Thanks for having me. This was fun.
Always a pleasure.
Yeah.
And we will see you all next time.
Catch you later.